I'm Amy.
And I'm Chris,
Best friends of 30 years.
and we believe A Course in Miracles is the most enlightening,
Albeit slightly difficult,
personal development course we've come across.
we've walked many miles
In several countries,
analyzing and applying the course
we're bringing you our insights,
and challenges
our loves and fears.
as we apply this course to our daily lives
We love its non-denominational and all-inclusive nature,
and want to share how you too can apply these higher principles in a practical
and hopefully more easeful way.
grab a tea
Or a glass of wine,
and settle in for some laughs and truths as we share real life tribulations.
and how we shift them into miracles. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to One Simple Truth. It's Chris.
And Amy,
And we were just having a super fun conversation. We're like, we just need to hit record. But essentially, we were talking about, maybe even doing a bit of a part two to last week. So, last week we were talking about the ego and suffering and when we're physically feeling off and how to work through that. And we thought it would be fun to talk about, okay, the flip side, right? Of creating and extending out that love and joy and creating more miracles while we do think that we are here in a body. And this kind of stemmed from this section. I'll just mention it and maybe we want to read some of it, but I'm going back through the course again. I don't even know how many times now it's been with going through it. I just keep going through her on my Audible book. But anyway, it is chapter 1, section 5, wholeness and spirit. And it basically talks about, we do think that I'll just kind of summarize it instead of reading it. But if everyone wants to go and read it, it's a really good section. And just such a good reminder of, okay, well, we do, while we think we are in a body, yes, we can choose either to listen to the ego and have all of the suffering that we talked about last week, or listen, in the course's words, to a Holy Spirit and return to that place of love. And that really is the miracle. And once we don't need that anymore, and it talks about like collapsing time, and once we don't need that anymore, it's like, okay, we've moved beyond that, but let's be real. We all think we're in a body. And we, like we said last week, whenever we're identifying with that, right, or essentially the suffering part, then we are listening to the ego. So we can listen to this instead, right? We can listen to the Holy Spirit. We can listen to the guidance. And we really are creators. We are, like, if you think of God as a creator, we are a part of God, an extension of God. We are co-creators. And I always think of it as of love, joy, peace, and abundance. And this section specifically talks about abundance, and which to me is love in all areas, like just love, right? And we are meant to co-create, and that's our truest self. So we have the choice in any given second, any given day, to choose that instead. And I know we're not supposed to say magic because the course looks at that as not like a great word the way it defines it, but to me it really is this magical flowing place, because everything does line up. And that makes sense because you feel that love, peace, joy, and abundance on the inside. So that's what the section is talking about, is extending that out and remembering that we can choose joy. We have a choice. We have the free will, right? So we love to talk about the ego because we're like, oh, how does it trip us up? How are we choosing it? But it's like, yes, and remember, we can choose joy. We can create from this place and be filled up, allow ourselves to. So that's my little rant on my soapbox here.
well, it's a very joyful one.
Yes, joyful.
Because it's true. We have to think about what are we stuck in? Like we have to look at what is stopping us, which we did talk about last week in terms of when it manifests as being sick, being tired, being not well.
And clearly my head cold's gone because I'm like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So I'm like,
That's
ooh,
something.
everything's great. But
Which
you
is
know what?
true.
It's
Which
such
is
a
true
good
too.
it's such a good example of this though, because that little shift last week, just as we were recording our podcast, when you said it's the ego. Like, even though I was going, oh, I'm extra sensitive and whatever, it was like, no, wait, it's the ego. Like, oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, there it is again. Right. And then it was just such a great shift to like just have compassion. And that's the shift to love. That's the miracle. And then you can, take care of yourself, start feeling better, and return to this place, of thinking more about co-creating.
Yeah, I love how you just said that because it's almost like we do all get so trapped in the suffering of what we're doing, but as soon as we unlock that grip, so in that
Mhm.
moment it must have been like that thing that you heard that we were talking about that just kind of unlocked your grip on it. And I feel like as soon as you unlock the grip and you kind of see what you're doing, it opens up the opportunity to do the alternative, which is what you're describing. Like the alternative is, ooh, I get to do something completely amazing, which is be joyful and create and relax and be
Mhm.
peaceful. And when you're gripped in that, whatever it is, like physical stuff can really
Mhm.
get us gripped. And, there's so many things that we're stuck in it. We feel like we cannot do anything about it. This is our circumstance. We're trapped in it. But as soon as you make that little shift, whatever way, then all of a sudden you have this moment of like, there can actually be an alternative. And that is so liberating.
Yes. It is so liberating and empowering. And you know what? I just want to like retract something I said because I just caught myself. So I said, oh, I had that shift and then I took care of myself and I was taking care of myself, but like just more mentally, right? Having that compassion and feeling better, and then could get back to co-creating. Well, that was co-creating. In that moment, I chose love instead because I hear this all the time, and guilty pleasure alert, I started watching Love Island. I just took that plunge, and
I don't know it, but I need to get on it
oh
ASAP.
yeah, lady, I was gonna tell you. Oh, you would like love that. Oh my gosh. So I'm watching this, and one of the girls goes, I'm gonna manifest that, which I love. It's like more commonplace, that language now, because it was not when I first started studying all of this. So that is cool. But it's a reminder, like, we're always manifesting. That's why I wanted to take back what I just said. It's like we are either, it just depends who we're listening to. And in the course, it talks about miscreating. So when we're listening to the ego, we're miscreating because we're coming from a place of fear and lack, and it just creates suffering, right? Like you were saying last week. But we're either like creating or miscreating. So it's just always happening. And so in that moment when I had that shift, that was the miracle because I returned to self-love. And that was a co-creating. That's what it's talking about, right? Of the miracles, of the love, of the joy. And even though I still didn't feel great physically, I felt way better mentally. And then, we could just get on with things. But it is really fun when we can like be conscious of it. And like you said, where are we stuck right now? And where are we, we were talking about indecision before we hit record, and my revelation after reading this section on the weekend and realizing I was really sitting in indecision about something I was trying to decide to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, all indecision comes back to like guilt. Like, and I've helped so many clients over the years who are in indecision, and it's like, yeah, it comes from that place of fear of making the wrong decision, right? But it comes back to that guilt, and it can keep us stuck. And then really all of that just is sort of like, enduring suffering, right? Where if we can really tune into what do we want to do and what's going to bring us joy, and does that make sense for the people around us? Of course, we need to be conscious of that. But it's like, what do I really want? And I think a lot of us are afraid to go there because we don't think it can happen, or we're afraid, right? Just kind of talking, not the thing I was working through, that was sort of a smaller thing, but like on a larger schedule or larger scale, not schedule, um, we like get stuck because we don't think we can do it, or the fear sets in, or we don't know how. And that's what, this course is talking about, is listening to the Holy Spirit, and whatever way that guidance comes in, through friends, through a book, through a thought, through an idea, right? Whatever that is, how it's going to get our attention, but it's like trusting it. And I know we've talked about this a lot on here, but it's like strengthening that muscle. Like, and what is the guidance and what is the ego? And every time we follow the guidance, it might be a bit scary because it's stretching us out of fear, right? And an old pattern. It always is there to support us with the smallest things and the biggest things. So, yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I really, in terms of co-creating joy and love and peace and abundance, like, we have this whole support system there guiding us. And if we really surrender, it's even showing us what we would want. It's like, you know what I mean? It's
I guess
like,
make that to see what we want. I love how you
yeah,
said that, using the words, what do I want in this moment, as like a beacon to help you to navigate. Because I think, to me,
yeah,
when you said that and you're like, that makes a lot of sense. Why we don't follow what we want is fear of it not happening. But the first thing I thought of was fear of doing what I want is oftentimes accompanied with, and I know this is common for you too and for anybody, but it's usually accompanied by all the, like, the guilt of, the principles of why I shouldn't. The principles, like, oh, but this
mm-hmm,
would affect this person, that would affect this person. It's camouflaged in ethics. And you're like,
yeah.
well, I don't want to do what I want because I might hurt that person's feelings by saying I don't want to go there, or I don't want to do that today, as just like an example. So instead of just saying, what do I actually want?
Mm-hmm.
And then let everything fall into place, even the people who you're afraid will be negatively affected by it. I feel like when you really go with what makes you joyful, what makes you happy, what makes you peaceful, that all the people that you thought were going to be affected, that all sorts itself out in a magical way, like you
Yes.
said. So it's funny how we're like, oh no, I really want to do this, but I shouldn't do that because, like, I'm, do the mom thing, but because a good mom wouldn't do that. And a good mom would put everything ahead of herself, or what, all that BS, whatever it is, you
All
know,
that BS,
all that,
right? All of that
a good
BS.
woman, a good girl, go do this. Like, there's all these things. And so I love your beacon of like, but what do I want? And that might be
Right.
the most lame option. You might actually want to do the thing that you're like, oh, that's the most unfun of them all. Why would I want to do that? It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
want it. It's what you want. That's what you are
Yeah.
feeling drawn to, even if it's the ugliest option, if it's the dumbest option, if it's the lamest option. Really find that beacon. And then when you
Yeah.
do, like you said, that your guidance is then your joy and your peace and your self-love and your self-respect. And
Yes.
then you're in co-creation mode. Like,
Totally. But
yeah,
you got to allow yourself to want it first. Yeah,
right.
because we have free will. But you know what? I love what you were just saying. And the mom example is such a good one. And I think so many of our listeners are moms. But it's also like we can want more than one thing. We can
Yeah.
want a harmonious, loving family and, you know, great times when we're together, and also have fun with our friends and do things. It's like we can want both. And maybe sometimes we are choosing like the harmonious family, I don't know, go for a hike instead of this with a friend, or you know what I mean? It's like but we get to decide in each moment, and we can want all of those
And you
things.
can have, exactly. And I love that. And I think that's why oftentimes when we talk about this, we make it more general and we go, okay, we know
Hmm.
you want that car because it's fun, and you have that vacation because it's fun. But we do have to remember, like, just as an aside, that is the ego who wants that. So the part of you that is your true self, what about that do you really want? You want the love, you want the fun, you want the joy, you want the peace. It's all when you dial it back and you get more general. It's like you said, you can be in a place where you want time with your family, but you also want time alone or time with friends. But really what you're wanting is,
Joy.
joy. You're
Yeah,
wanting
which is
to,
not the ego. I feel like we need to
yes,
clarify. And if the car is going to bring you joy, that is not the ego. Because it's like, okay, maybe it's in the world, but remember back to the lesson. And maybe this just helps my own mind get clear too, is we're meant to co-create joy. So a car doesn't have to be good or bad. But if you're
exactly.
if
Good,
you're
well
coming
said.
from if you're coming from a place of fear or lack, and not that we should, and I know we've brought up this example before, the car, like it's just such a good one because at first glance it is material, it's in the world. um and we're not saying like, oh, just go get the $1 million car, like, because you don't want fear to stop you, you'll figure it out. Like, we're not saying that, but it's just like, why do you want the things you want? And if you're co-creating joy, if you have joy in your heart and you're like, oh my gosh, it would be so fun today to go rent a convertible, or I would love a convertible. Like, that's not necessarily the ego just because it involves like a physical object,
That's
you know?
a really good summary, is that the car is neutral. The car
Yeah.
is still nothing. There's nothing there. If we go back to that point of like, if we're just really our true essence of ourselves, then none
Yeah.
of this, it means anything. It's actually all very meaningless. So to put on it
Yes.
of like, that's bad, it's from your ego, or that's good because it represents joy, good or bad, in this world is all nothing. It's
Yeah.
all nothing. There's nothing there at all. But I think what we're dialing it back to is, what is the feeling you're having in your true self? And
Mm-hmm.
that is really independent of whatever's happening. It's independent of the car. And so
Mm-hmm.
you are feeling the joy and the spark, and the car happens to be part of the manifest or illusion or whatever, but that it's really still meaningless because the joy is what is important. The spark,
Yeah.
feeling
Totally.
is it doesn't, you can take or leave the car, but nobody's saying
Yeah.
don't take the car because that doesn't matter, or take the car, you have to have the car because that's important. Nobody's
Yep.
saying
Or don't
anything.
want the car because that's not
That's
spiritual.
selfish
There's
and
all kinds of
sinful.
BS on
Right.
everything.
So
Yeah.
if you just remember, none of this, what's happening in the world, means anything. What is
Yeah.
your spirit doing? If your
Yeah.
spirit is getting caught up in the world, then you're in your ego.
Right. And
You're
to attach, like, I need to have this, or I need to have that. I need the car. I need the this. I need the status. I need
right.
the,
I'll be happy
then
when I
you're,
get the
yeah.
car. I'll be
Yes,
happy
exactly.
when I get out of my ego. Like
Yeah.
all those things that are really, you're stepping back into your ego. So that, I
Yeah.
think, is that the thing that, and when we talk about co-creation, by being in that mode of, I know that this whole thing I'm looking at is actually meaningless. The only
Yeah.
thing that means anything is my essence, the love
Hmm.
that I'm part of. That's tapping into what you're talking about, the
Hmm.
co-creative energy that we can
Hmm.
still do while we're in this vessel or this body, even though the body itself is also an illusion. But now we're like tapping in a little bit, and
Yeah.
degrees, to different degrees. And I think that one passage that you sent earlier, I really liked how it said, you can, what is it, it was like, you can dim your light, something like, you can dim your light as small as possible, but you can never put that light out because you cannot
Yeah.
create yourself. And so there's
Yes.
always
Good
this
one.
part of us, there's always a part that you have no say over because you did not create yourself. You are
Yeah.
always a miracle maker. You can't change that.
Yes. I love that. Good. Yeah. point to bring up with that passage. It's such a good one. And it's like, yeah, the reality is we all think we're in a body. So you may as well choose this path than the suffering.
And it's
So
on your way, and it's getting you on your way. And we know that like
to
the very,
remembering.
very end result is to remember and to know that all this is obsolete. But let's be honest, like you said, we're all living in this like constant needing to constantly remind ourselves we're not a body.
Yeah.
It's work of doing it and repetition. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, this is part of the learning is
Totally. Well, and we're connecting with our true self in any second that we are choosing this, right? And that is our true essence, is this, and it's so abstract, but this loving, creative energy, like that is our true self. So even though we think we're in the body and we're like, oh, let's co-create, like, but that is the true essence. So we're turning to that every single time that we choose love, we choose happiness, we choose joy, we choose peace, right? And then that is who we are. So then it can't not be reflected out into this world while we think we're a body.
yeah.
And I just wanted to circle back to something that you said, because I think that's so important. And we've been talking a lot, the last few episodes where it's just been us about, how it is really an illusion. And really, what does that mean? Like, even though we bought into that so long ago with the like first studying the course, it's like, oh, I just got the tingles. Like, really like seeing what that is on like this deeper level. And then when you said like back to the whole, mom stuff or whatever it is that you're trying to sort through, that's the same as the car. It's like this or that. It's still like everything is sorting through it, right? And like you said, we're hesitant to say what we want or speak our mind or, be truthful to ourselves, honoring that. And but when we do, it all sorts itself out. Yeah, because it's reflected back,
Mhm.
right? So if we go back to the whole illusion and this really doesn't exist. So that's why it is nice to kind of be like, okay, yeah, I believe I'm in my body, but like, what is the deeper meaning or thing going on, right? And of course it sorts itself out because we're putting out love and it's
Right.
reflected
Instead
back.
of guilt. And it
Yeah,
all comes down to guilt, where it's so true
yeah.
when we make all these, when we feel like we need to make decisions in the world, it's whether you know it or not, so much of it is coming from the place of guilt. And I feel like that's why
I
it's
just rolled my eyes. I'm
I
like,
know, I love
fucking guilt.
it. It's
Jeez.
so interesting though about how we do it in the name of being good or ethical.
Yeah.
Can't get
Good,
away
like
from
you
that.
said, good girls don't do that. Nice people don't do that. But like, here's the thing, if we're following the guidance, it is loving. It's
It
never
is.
wrong.
It's
It's
the
not
most
like, oh, go be an
ethical
asshole
thing.
to this person.
Yeah,
If
right.
you,
The
right?
guidance is gonna be the most ethical because of that, because it's not based
Yes.
around guilt. And I think I just keep thinking about that because of how, when we do come from that place, it kills us. I mean, it kills
It
our
does.
happiness, it kills our desires, it kills the flow. And here we are
Yeah.
we're trying as humans to be good humans. So it's not like it's even easy. We're like trying to do the right thing and trying,
Yes.
really it's the wrong kind of trying, it's the wrong kind
Yeah,
of work.
that's true. It gives me so many
Trying.
tingles. Nice. Yes, nice way to put it. It really gives me the tingles. It's a guilt, it's a happiness killer. It's
Kills
like
the happiness, all that
damn
guilt.
guilt,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And
And it goes
sometimes you just get so wrapped up in it. It could be like the smallest thing or the biggest thing. But again, the course says no difference in problems or miracles, solutions. Like it really is, because suffering. And it's like you can just get so carried away with it and wrapped up in like the shoulds or like the, fear, the lack. And you really got to just like, like we said last week, like just be aware of it. If we can just, oh, I think that's the biggest thing. If we can just be aware and go, oh, okay, my whatever way, like either my mind's spinning or I'm like really getting off track. Like what do I need to get back to center? And that's asking for help. It's asking the Holy Spirit. It might be like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go and have a hot bath, or I'm going to have a walk, or I'm going to like sit here and breathe or something, whatever it is, right? And you'll have that shift. Um,
I
and then
love
we can,
that. I
yeah.
just had a good visual too about the work, about the whole concept of the guilt sort of sitting on you, and like you, I'm thinking like of guilt is a suppressor, and it's to think of it as like
Totally.
if you're feeling down to, and then realize that, okay, there is guilt here. I am doing guilt. I don't care if I am aware of where it's coming from or what. You're doing guilt if you're feeling down.
Yeah.
And guilt, we can think of as a big, big old elephant. It's just suppressor. It's
Big
holding,
old
it's
blob.
it's made to hold you down. And when I
Yeah.
think of that, like lifting that big elephant of suppress, like a suppressor off of me, it's very like it's this sense of like, no, this is how we should be. We should not be
Mm,
have something sitting on us that's so heavy that's keeping us down, keeping us from making the decisions that is, like you said, what do I want? And if you're not saying that to you, look at your elephant. It's sitting on you. Like it's
yeah.
suppressing what your magical self that you are. That you're
Yeah, that's so true. I know when you were saying it, I don't know why. For me, it was a big blob. It's like, doesn't even get a shape.
Oh yeah.
Poor elephant.
I
You don't
just
even get to be an elephant. Get out of here.
elephants are cute and nice. I don't even
Right?
like that.
You don't even get to be the elephant in the room. You're just a big blob. No, but it's like, it does help to have a visual, whatever works. It's like, yeah, it's just like a darkness, and we don't have to choose it. And,
Yeah.
and we just need to like practice choosing the love, choosing the joy, choosing the miracle. And I was thinking, when we had Erin on a couple weeks ago around grief, and she talked about your 5 values. And I was thinking about that when you were saying like the mom stuff. It's like, yeah, family could be one of our values, and fun, right? And I think when you know those values, then you can, even though it all kind of goes back to love and joy, like what we're talking about today, but it just helps to kind of even make those decisions. Like, hey, it might be, a loving family thing this weekend, and this weekend might be more of a fun. And it's like, but then you're really living your values, and you don't have to feel guilty because you've got all of them covered, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so that might be helpful for people too. And I meant to I've done values games. I have one actually that I give to clients, but I'm like, I need to revisit that and look at what mine are. But like I think, what is it? Not Maslow, Abraham Hicks talks about the scale, but really it like all comes back, I guess, to fear and love. But that can be kind of abstract if you're like, oh, my main value is love. It's like, okay, just helps to
Right.
further define it. But I do love that. And I think it's really helpful. And then we can practice choosing it, whatever way helps us to, whether it's the values or just remembering love. Um, I'm sure it's different for everyone, but practice listening, and like that Holy Spirit is there for us all the time in every single second, you
Yeah.
know?
I want to say too, what's coming to my mind is we were just talking
Yeah.
about like either the blob or the elephant on top of us.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, in conjunction to what you just said, I want to say that we were making jokes about it, us not liking the blob, but the blob is it's not really good or bad, and it's also nothing. And so
It's true.
I was
Love the
gonna say,
blob.
when you need to let go of the blob, it should be a nothing. It's not. If you
Right.
so just so that we don't get
Good
trapped, that's
point.
a hard thing to shift my mind, because it's also an illusion. It's nothing. It's just and so when you talked about that, the other side of it and being with love, from love, um, if you find yourself in that position where like, oh wow, I'm really in my ego a lot. that's okay. And don't, not to make it as heavy. We
Mm,
were just kidding around, but it's not to make it so heavy and like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or now
mhm,
it's not, it's actually not like a dangerous thing, a scary thing, a bad thing. It's just a
mm.
realization. And then switching over to that one you described, which is the alternative, like simple as that. And
That's a good point. Yeah. And it's yeah, because it doesn't have to be scary and it's really just a part of this world and body and and I hate to even say just because it is hard when you're in it, but yeah, if we can just remember when we're in it, like, oh, there it is again, right? It would be so much easier to just kind of let go of it. But
yeah.
yeah, that's a good distinguishment. Like that's just what it is. We don't have to give it so much weight.
Right. And I think I'm saying that from my own personal experience because
Yeah.
I do give it a lot of weight and I end up being like, oh,
Totally.
why am I doing that? And then it's again, then it's just suppressing you again or even more to getting into that like that state of mind of just being okay.
Yeah.
It's an easy one to get into. It's just 1, 2, 3, you're there. It's a
Yeah.
decision, it's a realization, it's a aha. That's all it is. But I know from experience, like if I'm in my ego, then I beat up myself about
I was just gonna say,
staying
then you
in
beat
there.
yourself up. Totally.
Or
Yeah.
ego on top of the
Yeah.
ego. It's really just
Right.
nothing.
Piling it on. Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point. And that and I was going to say too, and then when having that awareness is half the battle. And then choosing and asking for help. And that's where, like what Aaron had said the other day with grief, asking for that sign, right? So asking for that help. And it's right there for us, and if we ask, and it will just help pull us out. It might not be to the top of like co-creating and joy and love, right? But it'll help us like pull us out one shift at a time, which is
Yeah.
the miracle and is co-creating because we're shifting to love
Yeah.
and choosing that instead.
Yeah.
And then the coolest things show up. Like it always still amazes me. And just like a really quick one of my things I was deciding on was um going back to San Diego for my husband's show, and I was on the fence, and then I just tuned into like, what do I really want? And I wanted to go. And then it was last minute and everything lined up, and flights, and I had like some rewards points to use that I almost didn't remember, and I started remembering everything. And then I found like even a different airport to fly into, and it's like, those are the thoughts, though. It's like, oh my gosh, I chose joy. This is going to bring my heart joy. And this feels fun. So let's do her. And everything lined up and it's so fun. So it's like, and that's just like a small example, but it really, that's like how it plays out, it's when
Exactly.
we
Like
choose
little
joy. Yeah, and yeah, the little things and the big things. So like even if you're doing something like with your business or career, like it's the same thing, right? You'll think of someone to reach out to, like, and that person becomes a client, but it wasn't your intention. It's like it works with everything when you're choosing love and you're like, show me the way. And you just practice like following that guidance, because if we don't
I
have
think
to suffer.
And I think
Yeah.
you can attest to this too, but what the course says is it will always work. When you ask for
Yeah.
help, it'll always work, which is what you're saying. It's always there.
It's
It's
always
always
there.
there. And it goes with what I was saying too. The ego's not scary. Like both of
Yeah.
those things go together. It's actually not scary or hard or dangerous because it will always work when you stop and you ask for help. Even if it means
Yes.
little bite-sized clues, which come as like little downloads into your brain or little visuals, or
Mm-hmm.
like we were saying earlier, friends just speaking out, like, you got to come do it. You just do it. That, maybe that is the voice you need to hear that gets you
Yeah.
motivated. But all these
And
things,
the Holy Spirit knows. The
what
Holy
you're
Spirit knows. And like, and it's so crazy because that did happen where I saw you guys and you're like, you gotta come. Cause I did have mom guilt. So, that was so helpful. And it's like, but the guidance even has you bring it up to the friends. Like every single
part.
thing is orchestrated, and the guidance knows you're gonna be like, be here, you're gonna like bring it up, like feel called to bring it up, and you guys feel called to say that. Like the whole thing is like orchestrated.
I love that. I love
Right?
that.
It's
It's
like we
all
don't have to
orchestrated.
worry. We don't have to like worry and try and figure this out ourselves. But when we're just aligned with love, like those are the thoughts. That's the guidance. That's their literally guiding like everything that we do. So I've been
Good
really
takeaway. Good.
yeah, and I've
Yeah, it's
really
just
been
like
trying to practice that. Okay, Holy Spirit, like show me, you know what? I'm starting to get triggered or I'm starting to do this. Like show me how to let go of this, and then you'll have the thought. But that comes with like practicing, learning which ones are the Holy Spirit, which ones are like what's the guidance from source and what is the ego and coming from fear, right? And it's like practicing listening and following it, and then you get to learn. And it's such a work in progress, because
and I
when
love
you're
your idea, your word
yeah,
orchestrated. Like that to me is a fun one
yeah,
to be able to say to yourself.
right,
Let me just see how this is orchestrated. And it's also when you do that, then you're less likely to be in your ego because you're more open to receiving. Like, what is
yeah,
this going to be that's not of my own doing? You're like, what is going to be what's already orchestrated for me? Let's see how
right,
this all plays out in front of me. And then you're taking your grip out of it, like that really,
that's
really
true.
hardcore energy of like, oh gosh, there's so many things I don't want to let go of here. You're like,
I
okay,
love that. Yes, you're taking the grip off the wheel. And if that car shows up, great, but you don't care
I
in
don't
that
care.
place. You're
You're
just like,
riding a donkey and
whatever's
you're happy.
yeah, whatever's fun. And it really goes back to what, we were saying, like if it makes sense. So if you're choosing that and choosing fun and choosing to be shown the way, that is reflected back, right? While we think we're in a body, while that's what we're putting out. We're putting out that love and joy. It's reflected back. Sure,
Yeah.
why not? Why wouldn't the flights line up? Why wouldn't right? All the things, because that's what you've chosen, is that love and joy in your heart. So I will remember this as well. It's a work in progress, and it can feel harder the bigger the thing, but it's all relative in terms of the course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful. And until next time.
Till next time.
Please click and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. And if you would like to learn more about readings and coaching with Chris and Amy, please visit chrisatley.com. Until next time.